Hi, I'm Dan Corum from the City of Tacoma Solid Waste, and I am here to talk to you about eating well, saving money, and reducing food waste by making bone broth. We're going to make a broth that you could just sip as a soup, or you can add it to other meals for add flavor and add extra nutrition. So the ingredients and the process are super simple. So let's start with the first ingredient, and that would be bones. I have some chicken bones that have been in my freezer for the last month. I deboned the chicken and we made a meal out of that. Okay, and what's left over are the bones. And normally, for most folks, it's like, well, don't really know what to do with those, so they're just going to go into the food and yard waste bin, which is a good thing. But if you could get a second meal out of them, why not? I mean, after all, when you bought that food, you didn't buy it to make compost, you bought it to eat. So we're going to get some extra value out of it by making bone broth today. Now, you can use chicken bones, you can use beef bones, you can use bones from ribs, you can use a ham bone, you could use a bone from a ribeye steak, and you can mix them together if you want. So any of these bones work great. The second ingredient that you want to use is a little bit of vinegar. I like to use a couple of generous tablespoons in mine. Why would you put vinegar in? Well, it helps draw out the calcium, the other minerals, which then makes this super healthy and super flavorful. All that marrow and calcium you want for your own body, and that's a good way of getting it out. Okay, that's the two ingredients so far. The next thing are the vegetables. And really, what we're using these for is for seasoning. What I like about making this recipe is that it doesn't really take a lot of prep. In fact, I just try to generally kind of get the husks off of things. Don't have to do much more than that, and simply cut it in half and into the pot it goes. I have some garlic, same kind of thing. I don't know about you, but I love garlic. I don't like having to husk it. Again, just getting most of the wrapper around the garlic off, and you can break it apart if you like for the cloves. And it all goes in because we're going to strain all of that out later. So don't worry about having a little extra. Okay, those are the three main ingredients, and it looks something like that. Now, the great thing about making bone broth is it can be super simple like this, or it can be more complex. Now, I checked into my freezer, and I had some other things I put in there because I knew I was going to be making bone broth at some point. I have here some cooked onions and peppers from about a month ago. I like to use sticky notes because when I toss things in the freezer, they just get lost in there, and then it's like land of the lost and go on a 4-H hunt for what I'm looking for. So label things, put the dates on there. It's all going in my pot. Also, I have some, in this one I have greens. I'll put those in every year this month. This happens to be cilantro greens, so it's going to go right in there. Some folks like to add bay leaves, a little celery, a little thyme, a little rosemary. You can add all kinds of things, or not. That's the great thing. Okay. Then what I would do is I'd go ahead and fill this up with water, and it's ready to cook. Now, I'm going to use an Instapot for this, and I like the Instapots because they're super simple. So this goes into the Instapot, you set the soup button, and it takes about 3 to 4 hours, and it cooks down. Now, what if you don't have an Instapot? You could use a pressure cooker, you could use a crock pot, or you could just use a large simmering pot and stove. It takes a little longer, like 12 hours at least if you're just simmering it. So again, that's why I'm using the Instapot. Imagine it's been 4 hours, okay, and I pull this out. Well, what are you going to do with this? Well, you're going to need to strain it out. Obviously, we don't. So you'll need a strainer, and you'll need a pot to do that. You strain all that stuff out. Okay, and then all your broth is going to go into your pan, and you're going to like, hey, imagine this being cooked down. It'll be kind of brownish. It'll be super mushy. You'll be like, ugh. Okay, what do you do with it? Well, you're going to put it in the compost. You're not going to put it in the garbage, right? Because you know if you put organics in the garbage, then they go to the landfill, then they decompose, making methane gas, and then that gets released to the atmosphere and contributes to climate change. But if you put them in the compost, then they are turned into compost, they go out and feed plants, and then the plants actually help sequester carbon. The next thing that you want to do is you want to cool it. I put mine in the fridge, I let it cool for at least a half a day, sometimes overnight. I made some yesterday. And I want to show you what it looks like. When it cools, all the fat will go to the top. Now, the fat on top, I don't like it so much. Some people do and just mix it back in. Myself, I like to skim that fat off, and it comes off pretty easy. Just like that. Okay, and when you get that far, okay, it's ready to drink. Now, you want to heat it up, and I had a little bit that I heated up in the microwave already. So this is nice and warm. It is perfect as a sipping broth. Okay, wow, I can taste the onions, the garlic, and the chicken flavor. Delicious. This will make a perfect soup base, so add some noodles, add some rice. You could add it to chili. It makes a wonderful base. You could add it to spaghetti sauce. All kinds of other things that you can make with this broth. But quite frankly, when you taste it, it's going to be so good. It's like, I'm going to just drink it and sip it as soup. So what I've shown you today is to take something that you normally throw out, your bones, on how you can make a simple bone broth that you can get an extra meal out of something that you would have tossed out. It's good for the environment, it's good for you, and it's great for your budget.